What is going on, people? It is, what day is it? Tuesday, April 19th, the day of the Wolves' second game in the NBA playoffs. I am nervous for the game tonight. I do not know what to expect coming off of what was a gigantic first game on Saturday. We are joined by Darren Doogie Wolfson of the Channel 5 sports team, the Scoop podcast, weekly contributor on the Skor North podcast. We're going to get into a lot of things. Let's go.
Edwards. Yeah, and it's our
Case on a deep drop, steps up in the pocket. He'll fire to the right side, caught by Diggs. Stay in
Oh my God!
At the 30. No
way! Into deep left center from Mitchell, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Brutal! David Guthrie is right there. Didn't have the guts to call it. Also,
Ed Malloy!
The Twins are going to win the World Series.
now fires into the end zone. Caught!
Edwards on the attack, and Ants can fly.
Touchdown!
Ants off the feed, and Anthony Edwards showing that Ants can kill.
No!
How did he get that one to go?
No!
Oh my goodness.
Carl Anthony Towns says, I want a piece of this Duck Fest.
Like I mentioned, this is the Bold North Sports podcast. I hope everybody's having a great day. Doogie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, John. I appreciate you welcoming me back. During that intro with Alan Horton's legendary Ed Malloy take, I just looked. I was curious if Ed Malloy happened to be assigned to tonight's game 2. Here are the officials. Wolves fans are lucky. Zach Zarba, James Williams, Mitchell Irvin. So no Scott Foster, no Ed Malloy, no Guthrie. So should be a good night in terms of the officiating.
I am a lunatic, and last night as I was falling asleep, that's one of the main things that was on my mind. Who is going to be the officials? And I was going to look this morning, but I appreciate you breaking that news. First things first, looking back at Saturday's game, what was your biggest takeaway when you were watching it?
The fact that the Wolves kicked Memphis's butt. Now, they did kick their butt in one of the regular season matchups. I mean, heck, they beat at Target Center Memphis by 43 points. I mean, that's hard to fathom. Any team beating any other team by 40-something points. In this case, the Wolves beating the second-best team in the NBA by 43 points. But the fact that they put 130 on the board, Memphis in the regular season, the number 6 defensive rating team. So the fact that the Wolves had their way offensively, the fact that the Wolves, had some success, second chance point opportunities, 19-11, controlled the offensive glass. Like the Wolves had more offensive rebounds than Memphis. So we talk about Memphis being the best rebounding team in the regular season. So I thought rebounding and just overall offensive success to put that many points on the board against a really good team, the clear-cut number 2 team in the NBA during the regular season, John. Like Phoenix, okay, number 1, but like Memphis was better than any team in the Eastern Conference. Really, really good team. 20-4 or whatever it was, 20-5 without Ja Morant. That tells you how deep Memphis is. Yet the Wolves toyed with Memphis a large part of game 1. I mean, that was to me an ass kicking.
Yeah. All I was thinking coming into this series is, first of all, I know Memphis is dangerous, but the Wolves just seem to match up so well against them. And even like D'Angelo Russell, he's been struggling all year, but it felt like every time the Grizzlies came to town or the Wolves went to Memphis, he seemed to put up big numbers. I mean, he averaged 31 on the year against them. Obviously, he didn't have a great game 1, but I know at some point in the series, he's going to have a massive game. The big thing, in my opinion, looking forward to tonight's game is how is Memphis going to adjust defensively, especially on Cat? Because what they did with Steven Adams on him, I do not think they're going to continue to do that. I think Taylor Jenkins is too smart. I think Jaren Jackson will get more minutes on him, maybe even Xavier Tillman. What are your thoughts on that whole thing?
exactly that, John, that Steven Adams got destroyed in the pick and roll. Now, I don't think Steven Adams is going to get a DNP CD tonight, right? He's going to play. I think he'll actually score. He didn't score in game one. I think at some point Steven Adams can do something to help Memphis offensively. But yeah, I do wonder, do they play Tillman, who we didn't see on Saturday? Does Jaren Jackson Jr. stay out of foul trouble? If so, I do anticipate seeing him more on Cat. So that's the chess match, right? That's the beauty of the intricacies of a playoff series, at least from my standpoint, seeing what changes, in this case, two brilliant coaches make, right? I mean, we can talk about the changes Taylor Jenkins likely will make heading into tonight. What changes might Chris Finch make heading into tonight? So to me, you know, as a connoisseur of the NBA and aficionado, I really appreciate just the changes game to game, and I'm curious to see what other changes we will see. But undoubtedly, right, like 100%, we know Memphis is going to adjust how they defend Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, and I'm also interested in seeing what Finchie does to combat maybe what the Grizzlies do different offensively. Because listening to a couple of the players and Taylor Jenkins talk at shoot around practice yesterday, a lot of them mentioned how they're going to shoot more threes, and that has killed the Wolves this year. Is teams, whether getting into the paint, penetrating the ball, and then kicking out into the corners or whatever. And so I was surprised to see, I know Memphis doesn't shoot a lot of threes, and they're not, they're middle of the pack in percentage wise, but I just do expect them to do more of that tonight. And so I hope the Wolves can combat that, whether that's not letting Ja Morant get into the paint as much, which is obviously basically impossible to do, or you're just going to have to scramble your butt off.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's the scramble part, right? I mean, you're not going to prevent Ja from getting into the paint. That's what he does. Correct me if I'm wrong, John. I believe he led the NBA in the regular season in points in the paint.
Yeah.
Which is pretty
as
ridiculous.
A guard.
Yeah. And he missed how many games? 24, 25 games. Yeah, at least as a guard. I guess I don't know about forwards and centers, but that's his game, right? You're not going to prevent him from penetrating the lane. To me, it's about scrambling. To me, maybe it's about not sending a third body at Ja at different times, scrambling out. Now, I could combat the point about Memphis not taking a lot of threes in the regular season with them missing Dillon Brooks for a good portion of the regular season. Would those three-point numbers be skewed at least a little bit if Dillon Brooks doesn't miss the amount of games that he missed? But like you think about from the get-go with Desmond Bane on the floor, with Dillon Brooks on the floor, yeah, I mean, I guess logically thinking about it, it does make sense that Ja is going to look to penetrate, then kick to those two, looking for more three-point opportunities.
Yeah, I totally agree. Another thing coming into this series that felt like a mismatch in terms of Memphis having a favorable matchup against the Wolves, but not going that way in the first game was the bench. Like the Memphis bench, I think, was number one in the league. Maybe I could be wrong about that, and maybe Taylor Jenkins was just gushing too much. But it felt like in the first game, Malik Beasley obviously huge, Jaden McDaniels massive, and their bench really didn't do much. How important is it that the bench continues to do that tonight and combat the minutes where Cat's not on the floor, or D'Lo, Anthony Edwards, those guys, and then for the other team, Ja Morant and those guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more important tonight with one less day of rest. So you think about being able to go heavy with Ant, Cat, D'Lo, the starting five. Now, yeah, Malik Beasley and Jaden McDaniels were excellent on Saturday, but the point is with that extra day of rest, right? Day of rest Sunday, day of rest Monday, then that third day playing game 2 here on Tuesday. Well, game 3 is on Thursday, so it's a quicker turnaround. So, yeah, you anticipate needing to use the bench maybe a little bit more. Now, I thought Memphis's bench was pretty good in the second quarter when they made a run. Remember, the Wolves went up, 13 points in the first quarter, built that double-digit lead. I thought Tyus and company had a lot to do with Memphis getting it back to, at one point, wasn't it a tied game in the second quarter, or it was a one-possession game? I thought Memphis's bench had a good amount to do with that. But you're right. Like, outside of Phoenix, is there a deeper team in the league than Memphis? Or maybe it is Memphis. Forget Phoenix. Maybe it is Memphis number one.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, for the Wolves to at least somewhat match that, I wonder, I don't know if Malik Beasley and Jaden McDaniels give you another 33-ish combined points tonight. But do we see maybe a little bit more Jalen Noel potentially tonight? I mean, I've let it be known for a while how big a fan I am of Jalen Noel's game. And I just have a hard time believing that Naz Reid will be that bad again. Like, you think about the play-in win over the Clippers, how brilliant Naz Reid was, heck, 1 week ago tonight, right? Like, I'm not sure they beat the Clippers without the performance of Naz Reid. So he was so good against the Clippers. I just don't think he'll be as bad. Like, he was rock bottom on Saturday. I'd like to think there's a little bit more there with Naz Reid. Plus, to me, they signed Greg Monroe for a reason. I mean, he can board. Like, at some point, maybe it's not tonight, but at some point this series, does Greg Monroe give them a solid 5 to 7 minute stretch? I'll be curious to see that unfold.
In my opinion, I feel like the time we would see Greg Monroe is if Cat gets in foul trouble and Steven Adams is on the court. Because I think Naz versus Steven Adams could be a mismatch in terms of for Memphis. But Greg Monroe's big body, I feel like he plays more of the Adams style. And then the other thing, I think Jalen Noel, Finch, it feels like he either goes Noel or McLaughlin. It's not a lot of both on the court at the same time. And so from what we saw in the first game, it felt like this might be more of a McLaughlin series, but I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Jalen if they do start to struggle to score. So game 2 is tonight. What is your official prediction for this game tonight?
Well, the point spread baffles me again. It definitely baffled me for game 1. I went on the record. Trust me, I'm wrong a lot, John. Right? My goal is to bat like 520. I'm not trying to bat 1,000. I'm not trying to bat 750. If I bat 520, I feel pretty good on predictions. But last Thursday on Skor North, I did say, like, to me, it was free money. Take the Wolves plus the 7 points. Okay, so you hit the jackpot in that regard. I don't feel as confident, but that point spread still feels pretty high tonight. The Wolves getting 7. So if I had to lean one way, I don't think I'd put a lot of money on it, but if I had to lean one way, I'd take the Wolves and all those points. But, like, I think we'll see a different Memphis team tonight. I think they will respond at a pretty high level. And you know what, John? That's okay. Because Target Center is a legit home court advantage. I heard you say before your intro hit that you're nervous heading into tonight. John, tonight is house money.
That's true.
Like, it's okay. Like, hopefully they don't pee down their leg, lay an egg, lose by double digits, get blown out. But, like, to me, it's okay if they end up losing tonight. Come back here at 1-1 because Target Center is such a legit home court advantage. The Wolves now have home court advantage in this series. If they merely hold serve at home, they are advancing to the conference semifinals, right? So it's okay. Like, enjoy tonight. Don't be nervous. Like, you can be anxious, but don't be nervous. Like, soak it up. Enjoy this one because I'm telling you, this is house money in my mind tonight.
Yeah, I don't know if it's possible for me not to be nervous. I mean, I've gone to every game this year. I watch I'm a lunatic when it comes to the Wolves or pretty much any team in this state. But overall in the NBA, what would have been your biggest takeaways? Was it the Nets Celtics first game? Has it been the Warriors and how good they've looked? What has been your biggest takeaway so far in all of the NBA playoffs?
Well, I mean, you being a Wolves fan, to all the Wolves fans listening right now, maybe thank Steph Curry for getting hurt. That allowed Memphis to crawl up to the 2 seed. I never saw the Wolves jumping Denver. I guess that was another prediction I happened to be right on. I just didn't think there was a legit pathway. I know some people were having fun with it, but once the Wolves were locked in at 7, I mean, they jumped up for like 12 hours one night like 3 weeks ago. But other than that, for 2.5 months, they were locked into 7. So I always saw the Wolves at 7. But once Curry went down with that injury, missed the final, 3-ish weeks of the regular season. Now, at the time, correct me if I'm wrong, Memphis was like a game up on Golden State, maybe a game and a half. So it may have ended that way anyway. But to me, Memphis was always the more favorable matchup. The Wolves wanted nothing to do with the Golden State Warriors in the first round, or if they happened to lose to the Clippers, they wanted nothing to do with the Phoenix Suns. It's all about matchups. Like Sam Mitchell, others will tell you that. Like my good buddy Sam Mitchell, he'll tell you. Like we can analyze and say Memphis was the best rebounding team in the regular season, this, that, right? It comes down to matchups. How did Memphis defend the Wolves in the regular season in those 4 matchups? Well, one game the Wolves put 140 points on the board, right? So, we can talk about Memphis being the number 6, and I'm guilty, right? I said it. Memphis was the number 6 defensive rating team in the regular season, but how do they match up with the Wolves? And you look at the regular season, they didn't necessarily match up particularly well with the Wolves. So it's a matchup-driven league. The postseason is all about matchups. This is a good matchup for the Wolves. That's why I always thought this series would go 6 or 7 games. Clearly, I still feel that way coming off game 1. So that is one thing that sticks out, especially after watching the Warriors demolish the Nuggets last night. I was reminded, the Wolves did not want to go to San Francisco for games 1 and 2. I'm sorry. I think the Warriors would have won both games against the Wolves. It would be 2-0 Warriors against the Wolves right now.
Yeah.
Right? So, if you're a Wolves fan, I guess thanks Steph Curry for getting hurt, for sure then allowing Memphis to be the number 2 seed, for everything to line up perfectly. For the Wolves, tough playing game, but to find a way at home, legit home court advantage, to win that game against the Clippers to be the 7 seed. And clearly the Boston-Brooklyn game was a ton of fun on Sunday. I think also just watching Philadelphia, now catching a break that my guy Gary Trent Jr., just not himself, dealing with a non-COVID illness, but
Scotty
definitely
Barnes,
not himself. Scotty Barnes going down, but Philadelphia looking really, really good through 2 games, and just reminded of how much fun the Eastern Conference playoffs are. I really like the Milwaukee-Chicago matchup. We touched on Boston-Brooklyn, then Philly-Toronto. These are really, really fun matchups. Maybe not necessarily Miami-Atlanta. It's unfortunate that my guy, another one of my guys, JB Bickerstaff in Cleveland, had the injuries he did with Jared Allen. Evan Mobley misses 5 games down the stretch. They go 1-4. It's just unfortunate that Cleveland was in the position it was in from an injury standpoint, that they couldn't end up as the 8th seed. I think they would have given Miami a little bit better run. Now, maybe Atlanta comes back and salvages a game or 2. We saw what Trae Young did last year, right? So there's a little bit of a history there with the Hawks, but Miami-Atlanta doesn't excite me too much. But the rest of the Eastern Conference, so much fun. Then I'm watching my guy Sean Sweeney, lead assistant coach for Jason Kidd in Dallas. That was a fun game last night, watching Jalen Brunson go off for 40-something points.
Yeah, you mentioned the Warriors, and you're not thinking the Wolves were ever going to get to the 6th seed. Well, the bad news, or good news, I suppose, for the Wolves is that if they do win this first series, they get the Warriors in the 2nd round. And so that would be a difficult matchup. But
that's okay, though, John. If you're talking
like you said, house money.
If you're talking about a 2nd round matchup with one of the youngest teams in the league, enjoy it, embrace it. Yeah, 46 wins in the regular season, a 1st round playoff victory, an upset, beating the 2nd best team in the NBA, just to play out your hypothetical here. Bring it on if it's Wolves Warriors in the 2nd round.
Yeah, that would be very, very fun, and Target Center would be electric. Before I let you go real quick, I want to ask a question about the Twins, because they've almost already lost all of my interest based on the fact that their offense is nothing. Other than Dylan Bundy, I guess Chris Archer's been fine. Their pitching has struggled too. Why should I still have a little bit of optimism going into the rest of the season, I guess?
Because of the 6 months of the season, it's long. Of the 6 months, I can make a case that April is the toughest of the 6 months schedule-wise. And through these first 10 games, right, Mariners into Dodgers into Red Sox, super tough start. All things considered, to have, 4 wins? Are they 4-6? So split the 4-gamer against Seattle, split the 4-gamer at Fenway. Okay, lose 2 to the best team in baseball, in my opinion, the Dodgers. You don't need to apologize for that. All things considered, 4-6 is not a train wreck. It's really not. Now, hopefully they have Byron Buxton back as soon as, I don't think he'll be in the lineup today, but maybe before this Royals series is over. If not by Thursday, then by this weekend. So thankfully he avoided a catastrophic injury. Alex Kirilloff got another cortisone shot. I don't know. That worries me. I'd like to see a real healthy Alex Kirilloff in the lineup just because I love his swing. I still think Alex Kirilloff has a very high ceiling when he's fully healthy. So I still think the lineup will produce, and it did produce on Patriots Day at Fenway, right? So I get it. Through the first 9, batting average below 200, it was ugly, right? But Monday, the bats did come alive at Fenway. So, I think, preseason, John, I thought they were an 81, 82-ish win team. I still think they are. And if they get to 81, 82, they will play meaningful games the last couple weeks of September. Now, do I think they'll be one of the 6 playoff teams in the American League? I do not. I don't think, at least as currently constructed. If they make a trade for Frankie Montas, who they'd love to get from Oakland, okay, we can have a different conversation. And I do think at some point they will bring in another pitcher, maybe multiple arms, maybe 1 reliever, 1 starter. But until that happens, the roster is currently constructed. I don't think they're a playoff team. But based on the ineptitude of last year, I'll take meaningful games the last couple weeks of September. So I would say give them a chance. Super tough opening part of their schedule. They'll be okay. Carlos Correa won't be this bad. He's too good of a player with a lengthy track record. I promise you, he is going to get hot at some point. You will enjoy that.
I hope so. It's just the fact that, I don't know, 2 weeks into the season, and you already see an outfield of Kyle Garlick, Gilberto Celestino, and Nick Gordon. And so, hopefully they can get healthy and hopefully they can get on a roll. But Doogie, I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know you're not feeling great. Enjoy the Wolves game tonight and have a good day.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me back, John. I'm getting there. I'm at 90%. Yeah, tested positive for COVID 5-6 days ago, so I can finally go back to the office today. Thankfully, never had a fever, but just, congestion, cough. And so, it's been a bad cold. I guess it's the vaccine doing its job. I am vaccinated and boosted. So for all I know, it's the vaccine doing its job. COVID just, didn't get me real bad. But yeah, happy to, finally be out of quarantine, finally get to see some sunlight, get out of the house a little bit, get to the office. So it's good times right now. Fun sports night too, right? With the Wild game in Montreal at 6, Twins game. I think they got kicked over to channel 23. People are looking for the Twins game, at least in the Twin Cities viewing area. It's on channel 23 tonight. Then the Wolves have the spotlight at 7:30 on Bally Sports North.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Everybody, I'll be back before the Wolves game to preview it and after to recap it. So check me out then. Otherwise, everybody have an elite Tuesday.